Greetings, Manchester. You're in tune to the search engine. Legacy 90.1. Big shout as always. Goes out. Dancing DJ. Tiny G. Drive time. I'll be back next week. Keeping you moving. Keeping you talking. Keeping you entertained. Tonight on the search engine. That time again. Search engine meets T.A.P Talks. Discussion for this evening. No, before I go there, start with the more important things, which is you. And as always, your views and opinions are wanted, needed, and much, much, much appreciated. Text line number 079. Is it 07599642626? That's 07599642626. You also can get involved online. We are on Facebook, on search engine, don't mind about search engine, Legacy 90.1, and on YouTube at SEUK Global. That's YouTube at SEUK Global, Facebook at Legacy 901. Okay, well, first off the mark, we're here. Greetings, Otis.
Bless, Anthony. Nice things. Good to be back.
Yeah, it's come around. Do you know what? I was actually I was watching that last, was it the last show that we did?
Which one?
I think it was the last one actually. Or was it the one before? I think it was the last one that Meatta
yeah, the one before
was on. Yeah, and we did the B.O.B thing at the end, and
the actual cards are due to arrive on Monday. We was hoping to have them for today, but they're coming on Monday.
Okay, well that's good. But yeah, there was that part when we were doing the cards, you know, the part where Angeli just dropped out. I was actually watching that. I was actually in stitches, man.
Have you still got some more questions? Say we can do that again, innit?
Well, yeah. I've got a few. Yeah, I haven't got through because I think we only touched on about two of them. So we can do that. So who are we expecting this evening?
Well, Meatta did say she's going to be a bit late. I don't know where Angel is, and we should have Colette Williams. I'm not sure where Colette is. Did you send Colette the link?
Yeah, I put them all in the email. Didn't Angeli say she had something on?
No.
All right, okay then. Well, the topics that we're going to look at is it's 1 year on from the murder of George Floyd. So that's one area that we're going to be discussing, talking about what changes has happened in a year. I suppose what the expectations are that people have, whether I know some people will probably say, what did you expect? But we can look at that anyway and talk in a bit more depth about that. Also, this evening, listeners, we're going to also be talking about the missing children, particularly missing Black children, in the UK, which I would suppose those who have been a part of supporting people who this has happened to are fully aware of the extent to this, in the sense of the amount of Black children that are actually going missing. And the sad thing is that I think, you know, on the wider picture, there's some people and some groups that are not listening to what's being said. They're just here now, Black, and it's like, oh, this is something else that they're complaining about or talking around. And I say that because there's a few things that has happened. I mean, there's also that the woman who was shot in London who had something to do with that.
Sasha Johnson.
Yeah, and I watched a bit of the because they did a memorial thing, didn't they?
Okay, I didn't see that.
And it was on YouTube, and there was comments underneath it. Well, that's where in the comments section, some of the comments were horrible, man.
Yeah, we're seeing some of the screenshots. Because she's a member of the Taking the Initiative Party, and they screenshotted some of the messages they've been receiving. It's just like, wow, people are so heartless.
Yeah, that's the thing. So when we're talking about this situation with the children, and the saying out of all the children who are going missing in the UK on a yearly basis, Black children are making up 13% of that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is absolutely mad, because we don't make up that percentage of the population.
No, not at all.
And then the fact that we're surprised about, because we don't know, it's not out there.
Yeah, it does feel like a lot of this is coming to light recently, because we're seeing more and more. I don't know if it's because people are posting more and more of the missing pictures, but lately it just seems like there's a load of them, and not just in one location. Obviously, I know down south there was a case where a lot of the cases involved Eastern Europeans kidnapping a lot of the children, and I've seen something where it was saying a couple of them have been arrested. And shout out Forever Family, because they're like patrolling the streets and trying to make sure that our young people are safe. But I've seen quite a few in Manchester recently as well, so I don't think it's the same reasoning behind why they're going missing, but it's definitely concerning. But a good thing is that we've seen today the girl who was circulating a lot from the last days, she's been returned safe, so that's good.
Been found.
Yeah.
Because it like I said, it is disturbing, and like I think I've seen one of those videos of Forever Family, which was saying that people were mobilizing and looking out for people, for their children in the community, because I don't even know what to say, in the sense of the people having the confidence to be able to go into these areas and do that.
Did you see the one with the little boy? I think he was 8, where he was giving his testimony, the story where he was saying that they was giving all the kids tablets, drugging them, and he managed to escape. Not sure if you've seen that one. I
heard somebody make mention of that, but I didn't actually see the young person talking.
Oh, it wasn't a video. It was just a picture of him with a statement of what he said. So I've not seen him actually saying it, but yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's very, very sad, but I think, again, I totally agree with what is being asked to be done, in the sense of the mobilization and people looking out for their communities. Because I think there's much more than just also keeping your children safe that can come of that. Some people are living together, or living on the same street, or living next door to each other, and they don't even know the neighbors.
Did you see the someone created a website, the Missing Black People website?
Yeah. I've
not gone on it yet. Have you had a chance to go on it?
I had a quick look at that, and yeah, I mean, I can't really talk to it in the sense of it's positive. It should be something that I think everybody should be aware of its existence, and I think it's looking like this is something that we need to have some natural beeline to, on a regular basis. It should be something that, I don't know, even daily notifications.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the updating side of things needs to be part of it, because we see a lot of these things circulating, and then we don't know the outcome, if they was eventually found, if they're still missing. So I feel that's important, that people are kept in the loop.
Yeah, and then obviously, all right, then you're not the police, but to with certain websites, I don't know if they actually do this on missing Black people, but to trying to get some of the ideas of the demographics of where these things are happening, you know,
Yeah.
like kind of a live website that's a
Yeah. Because if you can have like some type of map, and then we have areas highlighted where the cases are, then we can see if there's a pattern, if it's in a specific area, and then we know where we need to be more vigilant. So yeah, hopefully this app or website, whatever it is, can provide a ready-made solution.
Right, is it an app?
I'm not sure if it's an app, but I would hope that he would be making an app to accompany the website. But
well, I know when I looked on, I know it was asking about, you know, people sharing information. I didn't see that there was an app. I know it made there was links to, I think, a few, because I know there's a part on it that says smartphone. You click on there, and I think it makes some recommendations of certain apps that you can get, or also what you as a parent, if you're not up on the technology, can do to make sure that your children are safe. So there's that, is it that Lost app where you can find your phone if it's lost?
Yeah, there's another app where, I can't remember what you can do. I did share the information about it, but I think you can like shake your phone and it send out an alert and make a noise if someone tries to attack you or something. I'll find the information about it because I shared it on my Facebook.
All right, that one sounds cool. Cause I remember an app I had ages ago that you could open up with it if your phone was closed. You could take pictures, and it would automatically, you could put in, I think, 3 or 4 contacts, and it would automatically send the video or the images to those contacts. Or you had the option, if you had a Facebook account or whatever, it could also send it live to there. But you're just dealing with the kind of, I don't even know the word to describe that, those kind of people that want to or are willing to do the things that that young person described. You said.
Crazy, man. I'll find it during the break.
Yeah, we'll be right back. Check and see what them guys are doing.
Yeah, I'll call them as well.
Legacy. We want to end all new cases of HIV in a generation, getting tested regularly using prevention methods like
Yes, and welcome back. You're on Tune to the Search Engine, and this is a Search Engine Meet T.A.P Talks, and yeah, I can also, hold on, let's see it there. Good evening. I can say good evening also to Colette Williams. Good evening, Colette.
Good evening, Anthony, and good evening, listeners.
Hey, good evening, Colette.
Good, you can hear us okay.
Yeah.
When we just did the introduction, I know you had a few problems getting on, and we were talking about the topics for the show, which are 1 year on in the murder of George Floyd, talking about what changes have happened, if any, and then we were just actually speaking about the rate
Abduction.
of Black children that have been going missing, yeah, and the fact that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know the amount and the percentages that has been put out there is a surprise to me. I don't know about yourself. Colette.
Yeah, so I was listening before to your conversation with Otis about the young boy that got kidnapped in Enfield and was taken to a place, given drugs, and he managed to escape. And to tell you the truth, besides that particular incident there, I've not actually heard of child trafficking being a problem in the Black community. Obviously, you know, there's historical cases and issues of mostly young white girls being kidnapped, but I've not actually heard any in terms of communications, people talking about it as an issue of concern, apart from the last 7 days with this young boy called Demetrius.
Why?
Why
do you think we're not hearing it?
Well, I mean, if you're following the story of Demetrius and you actually Google it, there's only like 4 tags or pegs that come up, and one's a YouTube video, and not necessarily speaking to anybody personally connected to Demetrius, like his mother or his father, and there's just a gentleman reviewing the fact that he was kidnapped and that this is an issue, and I suppose because it's of no interest to the media. But when I'm saying that, we also have to take some responsibility, because we have got some media houses. You know, there's the radio station that we're speaking on now, and there are many radio stations, whether that's on DAB or FM. And there's also, you know, social media. We've got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that kind of thing. But it just doesn't seem that the story is generating around the community. And then I suppose you've got to ask yourself, why?
Yeah, and then there's also the fact that, you know, okay, we're going to talk a bit about George Floyd anyway, but in the light of everything that came off the back of that, in the sense of Black Lives Matter, and there's certain issues and areas that have been being talked about, and have been, even though for a lot of people they've been talking about this and dealing with issues around race and inequalities for a long time, but this wasn't even on in the kind of like discussion in that type of agenda for me. It wasn't like, if we had 5 points, it wasn't one of those points. And I don't even recall, we did a show, I think the last T.A.P show, and we talked about the Sewell report, and again, no kind of like mention in there. Okay.
So have you actually revealed to the listeners the figures that you found in terms of how many young Black people have been?
Well, what I've got here, and this was from the Missing Black People's website, and it's only just the first starting part. It says, as Black people continue to go missing across Britain in disproportionate numbers, campaigners say the government must do more to address the reasons, and that their relatives must stop being treated as merely a nuisance. According to recent data from the National Crime Agency, Black people account for 14% of missing people in England and Wales between 2019 and 2020, over 4 times their relative population. Though the agency does not currently have a breakdown in missing people by age, data shows that more Black men, 13%, went missing than Black women, 10%. In London, between 2019 and 2020, Black people accounted for 36% of missing people, nearly 3 times their population in the city.
Okay. So for me, you know, one of the topics of your discussion, of our discussion tonight, is about kidnapping, yeah, which is a very serious issue. However, the information that you just shared, Anthony, talks about missing people. And, you know, and so I think that there could be a danger that we're getting things a bit mixed up, because it doesn't say how many people were kidnapped. So therefore, you can't say whether or not this is a prevalent issue within the community.
But for me, I'm thinking that they kind of like roll into each other. Yeah.
Do they?
Because
if people go missing, people are not kidnapped. Kidnap's a serious thing. People go missing for various reasons. You know, they could have mental health issues, money worries, that kind of thing, breakdown of relationships. So when you're talking about that, you know, that Black people make up 14% of people that go missing, that's not 40% of people that are being kidnapped, is it? Which is a totally different and complete another story. Not another story, sorry, another issue.
Yeah, and that's
so
a good
we just have to be careful in terms of making sure that we don't kind of exaggerate the situation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and well, yeah, and like that's a good point in the sense of the kidnapping or the abduction and the missing. But I think the thing is that you sometimes don't find out in the first instance most things until you know it's a kidnapping is going to be classed as a missing, isn't it?
Yeah, unless there's a witness that's seen it.
Yeah, he says somebody knows for definite that it is.
I've found the details on the app. So it's called Holly app. That's HOLLIE. And here's the description. It just says, to anyone with kids old enough to have a mobile phone, download the Holly Guard app for them. If they're walking home late or alone, they can switch it on and you can track them. If someone approaches and they feel unsafe, they can shake their phone. It sets off a high-pitched alarm from the phone and also messages an alert to you or whoever's number is entered in as a guardian.
So for anybody listening, and what's your thoughts on this situation? Like I said, it's been going on for a long time. It's not new, but it is quite new to many people. There was a bit right up in the independent newspaper the other day about it. There has been quite a lot of people putting out clips about how they're feeling and what's taking place. As Otis said before, there is one of, how old was the boy who managed to get away?
Demetrius, he was 8, so I think. Is that right, Colette?
I'm not too sure how old he was.
Okay.
But he was
sorry.
But he was one that we can definitely say was kidnapped.
Mm-hmm. And he said there was other kids there as well in the house.
Okay.
Yeah. So and again, it's about what's the solution. Many are saying, all right, then it's about communities coming together to, I don't know, we're talking community guardians again, and we're going back.
Sorry.
Yeah, it is a community responsibility, and is it something that needs to be done on a local level in the sense of statistics, to find out exactly what is happening in your area, how many children are actually being reported as kidnapped in the area?
Yeah, I don't think the kidnapping is particularly the issue up here in Manchester. It seems like it was in that specific area of London, although maybe.
But the person, one person that I heard saying
Yeah.
it was different. It was West London, North London.
They did state the area. I can't remember what area it was though. Was you going to say something, Colette?
No, I was just going to say that even though it's happening in London, it's still an issue, isn't it, in the Black community, that kind of thing. It might not be like have a direct impact on us, but it's still something as a community that we should be looking at, trying to understand and trying to solve and resolve. And I do believe the place is Enfield. And again, I'm sorry, I know, so, I mean, for me, I think it's important that we, because you keep on going back to the word kidnapped, and I don't know, I'm not, sorry, I'm just.
What's your word?
Well, it depends what, I mean, the issue you were talking about, young Black people being kidnapped, weren't you? And but then if you want to talk about missing young people and why they're going missing and how we can prevent that from happening, then that's another conversation.
Yeah, the kidnappings is probably only a small percentage of the people who are going missing. But yeah,
sorry, I'm not meaning to be pedantic, but I just don't want to conflate the two things. Well, but I think in terms of young people going missing from our community, is it a case that it's on the increase over the last year, over the last 2 years? Is it a case that, people are now using social media more, so we're getting to find out more about how many young people are going missing, running away from home? Has it got anything to do with COVID in terms of, young people under pressure, the fact that they couldn't go to school, them worrying over their exams, the future, college, university, jobs, life, prospects, that kind of thing? Because that's all the pressures that we put on young people now today, I believe. It's all about, making sure that you achieve these particular things in order to be successful. But that's, again, another thing to talk about. So, well, yeah, I'm sorry. I know I'm putting more questions in than I'm actually answering.
Okay. Well, it's like there is that difference between kidnapping, abduction, and missing. I mean, that story that as I mentioned in the Independent was, its headline is Black people are going missing in vast numbers.
Okay.
And campaigners say their cases are being ignored.
Anthony, can you not see Angel in the waiting room?
No, I can't.
Oh, okay.
But I just text her saying that she needs to accept both. I mean, she knows she's been here before on the camera and stuff, but I can't see her in the waiting room. No, I can't. Yeah. So that's the position from there. I'll in the sense of the missing thing, sorry.
The missing children. Okay.
Yeah, that's what the sorry, I'm just trying to send this thing to. So yeah. So in relation to what you were saying there, Colette, then in the sense of, are you talking about solutions?
Well, yeah, I mean, but in order to have solutions, we've got to understand what the problems are, and the people best placed to talk about those kind of things are people that are working, I suppose, with vulnerable young children who are running away or going missing, because I do. I mean, for example, I think over the last 3 or 4 months, throughout either Facebook or WhatsApp, there have been posts where young people have gone missing. I think I've received about 4 in the last 5 months. And within 2 or 3 days, those young people are found and they're safe at home. Mm-hmm. So when you say go missing, it's like, you go missing permanently, isn't it? I mean, it's a continuation, yeah, missing. you're no longer there. So these young people are returning home.
Yeah, and they could go. I mean, classed as missing is just being reported to the police. So if you've been reported as missing, it goes down as a statistic. So then it obviously goes then into other areas. I suppose the question is then is if there is a higher rate of not necessarily abductions but people going missing, then it depends how much you want to analyze it, isn't it? Are children going missing when they're at a certain age? You know, are there certain issues within the family that's being given as a reason when young people are being spoken to? It's where that information would come from. So yeah, it's important because one can, I suppose, be more emotive than the other, can it?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so but then to go back on terms of solutions then, I mean, having done activism work, I know that there are plenty of people throughout our community that do a lot of amazing work with a lot of young people. Yeah. And the one thing that always comes back is that we're, as a community, under-resourced and underfunded. And I'm sure that people with more experience or with experience of working with young people will be able to tell you as to the reasons why young people go missing. And I suppose that when you actually then put those two things together, the fact that we're under-resourced and issues and problems either within school or with the family or within themselves in terms of self-esteem, that's when we can start to be able to address the issue.
Yeah. Well, there's so many reasons why people do go missing. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is a line in there because the missing and the abduction, you know, because straight away you hear that term or you hear the kidnap, and it's like something has to be done, you know, because it is scary and you don't want to take it lightly or as trivia by dismissing that one. That could be an abduction and has been going on for a while. I don't know. Yeah,
and you know, Anthony, I hear when you say the word dismissed, and I don't know whether that was anchored at me, but I'm not dismissing at all what happened to Demetrius or you know what's happening in Enfield. I mean, like I think I said before, you know, it's happening in London, but it is happening in our community. You know, we're a Black community, and therefore we should all be concerned, and we shouldn't just be concerned because they're Black, but we should be concerned because they are young people, and this is an issue.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm not disparaging in the sense of colour, but again, it's you know, we are an African Caribbean station, so we do highlight those issues that are pertaining to us. And it's not, I can't say the last time that I've had a discussion on this show with regard to whether it's abduction or missing children apart from, I think it was when the last time I actually spoke to you with regard to the Chubrook girls.
Okay.
Which we know what that was.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I mean, it's like you said, you know, that you've been to numerous events, you've probably heard, you know, thousands of people speak, but you've never actually heard, and nobody's ever brought to the forefront the problem of either missing children or missing people. And I suppose, I mean, and at 14%, that's quite high, isn't it? I mean, that's.
Well, it is. What is it that they say Black people are the average within the UK in the sense of percentage?
I don't know, but I do know it's 10% in the workforce.
I think there's, I don't know who gathered the statistics, but I think there's 3 million black people in the UK, and there's the population about 66 million. So that's like 5%.
So it is proportionately high. You're right.
Yeah, yeah. But I think again, like you say, it's a kind of like safety issue. It's about relationship building, isn't it? It's about giving children and young people options in the sense that they don't have to go missing if they feel, you know, they've got an issue or an argument with the parents. You know, it's again another discussion around the family and what options they are, rather than, you know, if you're not getting on with your dad, you're not getting on with your mum, can you go and talk to your auntie? Can you go and talk to your uncle? Can you go and talk to your older brother or somebody else? And then, like you said, what was the name of that Holly Hap?
Holly App, yeah, HOLLEY.
All right. I suppose that's named after, wasn't that Holly? I think well, it's obviously named after somebody, isn't it? That not Salem.
Talk about that young girl that went missing, and then the newspapers hacked into her account. That one, that young lady.
Oh, is that who? I don't know if it's that one, but it definitely seems like it's named after somebody, isn't it? And that's probably gone through that experience. It makes kind of sense that needs to happen and stuff. So is that an app that's just on the Play Store or something, Otis? Yeah,
so I'm presuming it's on Google and iOS. So yeah, if you just go into your App Store, just download it. Okay.
You are listening to the Search Engine. This is Search Engine Meets T.A.P Talks. At the moment, we've been discussing what's been going around on WhatsApp and social media with regard to some incidents, I'll say, of child abduction within the black community. There was specifically a young person who was abducted and managed to escape, and talked about the experience that he went through. There was a paper, an article in the independent paper talking about the alarming rise in black young people going missing. And, you know, we don't want to confuse missing with being kidnapped, although they do both have their own level of seriousness. But we want to know, what you can do or what you do. How do you keep your children safe, make sure where they are? Do they have a app on their phone? Do you have there's something that you can have that you can track the phone, isn't there?
So that's what that app does. That app allows you to track your phone when you open it.
Okay.
So if you're the guardian of the person who's got the app, then you can track them as they're on their way home.
All right then. Well, that's a good thing. Yeah. So I don't know. Is there anything else, or in the sense of support or places of information that people can go to? Are Family First doing any kind of guidance on their website?
Forever Family. I'm not sure, but that would probably be specific to that demographic within London. We'd probably have to create our own systems up here. But I have spoke with people from Forever Family. I've been to Czech Respect a couple of times. I've spoke with Mega Man from Soul Solid, who's one of the founders. So yeah, they're doing a lot of good work, and they are trying to branch out.
Like discussions, any meetings, Zoom meetings that you're aware of that people?
Yeah, I know they meet frequently. I was in regular contact with someone who's heavily involved, but things have kind of stagnated. But I feel with everything that's happened lately, they've started to pick back up. So I'll touch base with them and see what's going on.
Okay, that'll be good to know. Okay, I don't know.
Any of you guys joining the Missing People, Black People volunteer induction that's happening on the 30th of May?
I'm not aware of it.
No.
Okay, so it's an Eventbrite, and it's by a gentleman who runs a company called Dominic O'Norton Limited. It's on the 30th of May, 6 p.m. till 7:30 p.m. and it's on Eventbrite. So I got that information courtesy of Angeli. Thank you.
I know, but where is she? Why are you not here, Angeli? I can't see you. But this Dominic O. Norton.
O. Norton Limited.
And is there a title of that? For that?
It's Missing Black People Volunteer Induction. I just got the screenshot, of the information. I've not actually gone into Eventbrite as of yet to do it. But I just thought that would be a good thing for you guys, as well as any listeners out there who are are going through this issue of a missing person.
Okay, dokie. And we'll be right back. See if we can find our Angeli. See you in a bit.
Feel the vibe on Legacy. Are you in the process of planning a funeral? Do you have friends and family in the UK or abroad that may not be able to attend the funeral?
We are this evening. Well, just before we were talking about the rate of young people going missing. I did just actually have a call, and that was in relation to saying that I think we may have mentioned somewhere that although it's children go missing regularly, that the abduction of Black children is something that is not as irregular as we think about, and it's not something that is also just taking place down south. Now that person couldn't speak at the moment, but they may call back to share the information that they have with regard to that. I don't know if it's personal experience or family, but yeah, hopefully they'll give us a call back and we'll be able to share that information that they want to. But let's did we manage to get Angeli? No, she's just keep trying.
I called her. She said she's trying to get in, so I'm not sure what.
I don't understand it. She doesn't usually have a problem, does she? So, I mean, do you want to say any more on that issues? Anything else that we need to make sure that is shared on that area?
I feel like we've covered as much as we can. All
right then. So let's go on to the other topic, which is 1 year on from the murder of George Floyd. Where do you start with that?
Do you feel much has changed in the last year?
say no, I don't. And, you know, I haven't done any research at all which would bear up the numbers in terms of how many more Black people have died since the murder of George Floyd. But I'm sure it still continues at the rate that it was prior to George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd probably tend to agree with that. If not, probably gone up, but not unless somebody's managed to catch it with a camera. Are you gonna hear about it? What for you is, in the sense, I know it's going back and you've probably had these questions already, but why was it so impactful? What happened to him and the world response to that?
Probably just a case of the straw that broke the camel's back, I think. Just because we've just seen so much of these things, and then I feel we just reached breaking point. And I feel, there was just so much variables that amounted to that, and us being in lockdown, and I think there's just a lot of variables to consider as why there was that big explosion of a reaction as well. And
what are those? What are those variables?
Like I said, the straw that broke the camel's back, just us being on lockdown, just like everyone under pressure anyway, and then this like there was just an outburst, and people just had enough. Yeah,
I think you're right there, Otis. I think because we were in lockdown, a lot of people were on social media a lot more, because it perhaps, you know, the one and only interaction that you had with somebody other than those who were in your house. And especially for those people that are living on their own, you know, social media was the only contact that you had with anybody else apart from your cat. Oh, sorry. But I also believe that because I know of a instance were recorded, and I don't think that the George Floyd should be taken just in isolation. Yeah. So over the last, from 2015, 2016, when Black Lives Matter became a campaign, a revolutionary campaign, a worldwide campaign, one of the biggest explosion in terms of Black politics, definitely in my lifetime. I think that the George Floyd was not necessarily the straw that broke the camel's back, because I don't think the back of the revolution has been broken. But I think definitely because of COVID,
when I say the straw that broke the camel's back, I meant in the sense like of us reacting in such a big way that we did. Like obviously, there's been times where there's groups of us who are reacting, but I feel this time was a bit different in that we see more white people reacting, whereas it's usually just us from the Black community that's kicking up a fuss about it. I feel this time there was a unified response. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fine. And yeah, you're right in terms of more people looking at the issue, and not just only in the Black community or and that it was more of a universal discussion and stuff. But I do believe within that universal discussion that as an activist, that discussion, the last discussion of Black Lives Matter, to me felt less, I don't know what the word is. It felt like the movement had been overtaken by white socialists.
1,000,000%, definitely.
So, and for me, that's kind of a question as to not how and why, because that will just keep us going round in circles, but kind of, well, let's take it back. Let's, it's a Black movement,
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean when you say taken over by white socialists? Wasn't the Black Lives Matter group that's in the UK headed by black young people?
Yeah. So when the last round of Black Lives Matters protests last year, the Black Lives Matters organisation, the official Black Lives Matters organisation, actually put out a number of statements saying that the rallies, the protests weren't called by Black Lives Matters, and you know, because they were concerned with the issues of going out at that particular time, because, you know, we're on lockdown in terms of COVID. And so then what you found is that you had individuals within cities. I mean, I can only speak about Manchester actually, who I'm not saying these people didn't have the right and responsibilities. Sure, they have, because every black person has the right and responsibilities when it comes to campaigning in terms of Black Lives Matters, and everybody else does as well. But it became really obvious that white socialist groups were manipulating. They were involved, heavily involved within the organisation of that.
Okay.
And also as well, I do believe that the conversation needed to be had regarding taking the knee in terms of Black Lives Matters, because as a Pan-African, as an activist, as a revolutionary, as a descendant of ancestors, you know, I have never ever known anybody take the knee and ask for not to be killed. We've never ever taken the knee, and for me that was an indication that whoever was involved in Black Lives Matter didn't understand the fight for justice and freedom and equality, equity, reparations. You know, they weren't involved in.
It's just a token gesture.
Say again.
I'm saying it was just a token gesture. I think it was a domino effect of Colin Kaepernick doing it in the NFL, and then they thought, right, let's give him that and let him do that over here.
Exactly.
Whereas you see the stuff with the Asian hate, where they got the bill moved within 3 months. So it just shows like they're not taking us serious though.
What was that one, Otis? They what?
The Asians rallied to get a bill moved in America, and it only took them 3 months in regards to Asian hate, and we're still trying to get the lynching bill signed off, and they're still not signed it off. So this goes to show they're not taking us serious though.
You're not taking us seriously because of our economic status and position.
Yeah, exactly.
We know that. So. And so, you know, so like when you go back to the question in terms of has anything changed in terms of in terms of the community, I think on a political level, no. And I think on an economic level, yeah, but I would say that's more or less to personal wealth rather than community wealth. In terms of culturally, you know, I think flipping heck, yeah, I think we've just had a complete drain, and I keep on hearing the word, the M word, being played absolutely everywhere, and that's the only thing when I think about music. Art, culture, you know, resources are drying up, that kind of thing. So in terms of, you know, have we moved anywhere? I don't think that we do. We have.
Yeah.
What about conversation? Have you had any conversations with people that you normally probably wouldn't have spoken on this topic before?
Me?
Yeah, any of you?
I spend my, I was an activist for 12 years, and I retired about 2 years ago, and I spend my days now doing DIY. So, not a lot of opportunities to speak to people about politics and revolution and issues, because I think it's a very frustrating thing to do when things don't seem to move. Yeah,
for me, like, I'm sick of talking, innit? So I look at like how other cultures seem to be prevalent outside of their home nation, and I feel a strong African diaspora leads to a strong Africa, and a strong Africa leads to a strong African diaspora. And I feel once we become more unified in the economic sense and we have joint ventures in regards to business, then things will be taken a lot more serious. So, for example, like if a lot of these countries out in Europe or America are reliant on a certain resource from Africa, could be whatever, say cocoa then, like, for example, and an incident happened in America, and the African country who was exporting that good to America said, unless you sort this out, we're no longer going to export this goods to you. You'll see how fast they sort things out. Because I just don't feel we're using our economic and resources in a strategic way to get what we want and what's beneficial for us. But I am seeing a lot more conversations taking place in regards to Africans and African diaspora linking up. And myself personally, I've been partnering up in a lot of business ventures with a lot of people in Africa. So there is changes taking place, but how long it's going to take until we see some real key movements happening that can affect things on a global scale, that I don't know. But I'm a lot more optimistic than I was anyway.
But isn't that part of the legacy of George Floyd, in the sense of some of those conversations are being able to have? I mean, I know in some of the workplaces where I've been, and they've got their own intranet kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I've seen people seeing comments and trying to educate fellow workers, doing their own little research, which I kind of
I'm sorry but does that happen now, or was that happening last year, after George Floyd died? Because definitely last year, just after George Floyd, there was a lot of conversations. There were a lot of organisations and companies that were looking to change their policies, even we're extremely proud about putting, tagging the word Black Lives Matters. I remember Lush did a fantastic shop dressing window, like front window shopping, and they talked about the violence perpetuated by police officers on the Black community, and that was Lush on your high street. So there was a lot more discussion last year, but what about now? Are you still seeing that people are still discussing that now?
Well, yeah. Well, in where I'm working at the moment, there was actually a meeting that I was part of, which I was quite impressed by the organisation, really, in the sense that they're still having this discussion, and their race equality group, and they had a meeting where there was discussion. They're looking at wage disparities within the organisation, management structure, language that should be used or shouldn't be used, what should be included in like supervision and things like that, safe spaces. So after they have the race equality meetings, but then they also have a meeting then which is specifically for in quotes people of color, so-called safe space, where they can discuss how they feel about things that they may not feel comfortable saying in the wider group. So that's quite exemplary in a way.
Okay.
I mean,
can I ask what sector it was?
For that. Pardon? It's a voluntary sector.
voluntary sector. Okay, good.
Okay. Hi, Angeli.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
You can do. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well. Apologies, I've been so late. It's been a really, really busy evening for me, sorting out family matters, but I'm here now. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for all your patience and good to see everybody. Colette, you look amazing.
And that's what.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's,
You see, that's how you're supposed to say hello to people, Otis, when you've not seen them for about a year.
We know Otis has got no.
oh my gosh. So just on you, innit? Oh, it's
very quickly, I'm gonna see.
She was on me on the phone when I thought in the break.
on
I
the
didn't
phone.
even get a word in.
Sorry, go on, Angeli.
I was going to say, I've joined on my phone. I'm going to try and join on my laptop. So if you see me twice in the room, bear with me. So yeah.
No problem. No problem. So yeah, so there's some place in it, and I think because of the discussion, and there's some people that have been saying, you know, is this not just a black issue to discuss? You know, you need to do your own kind of work. And that's the kind of conversations that I've been seeing taking place.
I think one of the good things as well, and I don't necessarily know whether that's, I suppose it is linked to Black Lives Matters, because there was a backlash that we got from the white community, especially when they had, was it Christmas adverts that came out with black families? And people complained about it, and then you had a number of companies who then went out of their way to make adverts with just black people in it, just to say, you know, that, you know, everybody's got the right to be used in marketing, and there shouldn't be this outcry from white British society about the fact that you've got an advert that's just got all black people in it.
And do you think there should be an outcry?
So I think, no, I'm just saying that that's one of the changes I think that we saw last year, was that companies were willing to say, you know, put two fingers up at racists. That, you know, and I think they did that in a big way. And because of that, you see more black people in adverts now, which I'm really happy about.
But do you think it is over the top, or is it making up for lost time?
Do I think that black advertising is over the top?
Yeah, do you know, like, you get, like, sometimes things happen, yeah, and there's a.
I think I quite liked the advertising that they did over Christmas, especially with the you know, the big companies. I think there was I think even Jaguar got involved in that, you know. And but I do believe the COVID adverts go over the top in terms of diversity. So yeah, sometimes they can go overboard. The COVID adverts are awful in terms of diversity.
Well, we're their target audience, isn't it? They want us sucking up the vaccine.
So in the sense of you saying that is something that is more prevalent since George Floyd, since that murder. Because I know, and it's crazy that you notice these things, but I was sat down and I was watching the TV and I seen one advert with a black guy on. I think he had a hula hoop. And then there was another one with an athlete. I think he was a judo guy. And then there was another one, straight 3, like in a row, and I was like, huh? But sometimes it's about appeasement, isn't it? It's out there now, so we'll do all this, and then as soon as people stop talking about it or whatever, it'll just disperse.
Do you think? I don't think. I don't know. Well, I mean, I hope not.
you remember when Channel 4 used to,
I like to see black people in, I know it's a small thing, it's adverts, it's marketing, it's selling products, that kind of thing, but it's nice to see black people, you know, I'm confused.com, there's a black woman on that. The Tesco one, there's a black chubby woman on that with a big afro, do you know what I mean? And stuff. It's nice to see me on television, maybe, and so what? It's in an advert. And I do believe that it will last. It should. I heard an advert the other day for some exfoliant for the bottom of your foot, you know, like you have crusty foot. And in the advert it said, if your foot bottom is crusty. And I thought only a black person could write that, yeah? So obviously they're employing people or consulting with marketing agencies with black folks in, do you know what I mean? And that's more money for, you know, the black economy, which is great, isn't it? Isn't that what we want?
I was part of a panel with the advertising company. Who was it now? I can't remember what the brand was, but it was just asking us our thoughts on the script. But it was they are making a bigger effort in regards to making sure that we're well represented.
I definitely think part of that is, I'm back in the room now, I'm on the laptop, forgive me. I definitely think part of that is because, one, they recognise the spending power of black people, not only in this country, but globally. Two, yeah, clearly there's probably a kind of like a genuine from some companies to try and be more inclusive or start to represent the black population more proportionately. But three, I think that there's a disingenuous type of performative, if you want to call it, business plan going on amongst certain organisations, big, small, and in between, who are just doing it for the sake of, because they know it will make them look better. It might, you know, create more revenue essentially for them. So I don't think it's all positive. I think a lot of it is performative. I think that's part of the reason why they're continuing to get it wrong, because it's not coming from the right place. I just come in super cynical. Sorry.
It's not cynical. It's right. When you look at some adverts and some of the organisations who've come out and even given apologies, like certain banks, you know, and you're like, well, why now? You know, and what is there should be more than funding of a scholarship.
Yeah, I think about it as the analogy as somebody's been getting away with something so long, and all of a sudden the spotlight gets put onto them. They can either fight back, bare the teeth, and act really, really nasty with it and deny that it, you know, them, or they can hold a hand and say, "Yeah, I was wrong. What I'm going to do," and kind of like over-egg the cake to try and make it better. Or they can genuinely say, I messed up. This is the reason why. This is what I'd like to do to make it better. How can we remedy this situation going forward? Which is a true apology. So, yeah, I think there's different kind of levels to this.
Definitely. So I think just before you came on, Angeli was asking whether a change in the sense of that you've seen over since on the year going to now. What is it that stands out for you, if they are, or are you of the view that, again, I know you said you're being a bit cynical, that there's nothing?
On a micro level, in terms of
sorry, let me just stop you there. And in relation to, because I know you work for quite a few different organisations, voluntary, probably statutory. Yeah. So have you seen anything that's been of difference in those particular areas? And
well, I was just going to break it down to on a personal level. The changes that I've seen, particularly in me, is I feel a bit more visible. I feel a bit more unapologetic and able to just speak my piece and just say, yeah, I'm black and I'm proud, and all of those things there. On a community level, with the people that I work with every day or see when it comes to community work, etc., there's definitely what's the word, more of a pride, more of a collective type of understanding that we are kind of being seen, and there's some support out there. Clearly it's not where we want to be ultimately, but there's something out there that's happening at the community level. I think that in the past year on a community level, I, Otis, yourself and Colette have been doing a lot of collective other community organisations and groups around the whole premise of Ubuntu and unity, and recognising just off the back of George Floyd, we are actually powerful in numbers. Does that make sense? I've noticed that. On a structural level, institutional level, going back to the points, I think I've seen some performative type of remedial or remedy type of works or activities. And I've seen some really, really genuine trying to have those conversations, recognizing that they need to be comfortable and be challenged and be provoked and provocated and all of those things, and really trying to change their culture. So I've seen that as well. On a statutory level, i.e. like local authorities, boy, you don't really see no change, you know. Just leave it there. Yeah, sorry.
So what about, you not seen anything like working towards becoming an anti-racist organization?
No.
No?
Because to be anti-racist, you need to lay yourself bare, bones and all. I was listening to a really cool YouTube conference last night, and it had Professor Gus John on there, and they were talking about a scholar called Adam Elliott Cooper, who's just written a book. And there was a lady there from an organisation called, we've actually worked with them, a human rights organisation that will come back to me. And basically, Professor Gus John was saying it's all well and good saying, oh, yeah, we're going to do the unconscious bias training, and we're going to do the anti-racist training, and we're going to do this, I don't know, consolidation every year, and everybody's going through it and recognise we need to do better. That's all well and good, but the only way you're going to see any real change, he said, is an acronym. P for policy, P for practice, C for culture, and A for accountability. And I had to just write that down and shake my head, because that's exactly it. I haven't really seen that within our statutory friends.
Okay, we're going to go for a break. We'll be right back.
Feel the vibe on Legacy. Legacy.
Just we'll go back to and probably just touch on some of those actual the policy, practice, culture, and accountability. But before, just while we're in the break, just want to just ask you about your thoughts, because obviously before you came, we were chatting about the children going missing, the rates of black children going missing in with a difference comparing to kidnapping or abduction. I just want to know any of your thoughts on what has been in the media.
It's such an emotive, sensitive subject to talk about. It really, really is. I think this has been going on for a long time, hasn't it, in various different guises, whether you're talking about stuff that was happening, I don't know, during enslavement, when you're talking about stuff that was happening during Jim Crow, you know. I think it's been going on for a long time, and it just all of a sudden, for some reason, it's not to say for some reason, clearly more people are being vocal about it. If you look all over social media, particularly Instagram, there's organisations like Forever Family and particularly them, Farron Paul, who does the knife amnesty thing, and even people in Manchester who are really starting to beat the drum and say, listen, this is not on, you know. I think something's going on.
Sorry.
I don't know. Go on, Colette.
Are you talking about people being kidnapped or children going missing? Because again, we're
that's what I'm saying. There is a distinction, and I think
are there children being kidnapped?
Well, there is some evidence to suggest that children are approached, are being solicited, are being they're trying to drag them into cars. I've seen videos of that, etc., etc. I've spoken to people, I've heard anecdotal kind of like narratives of people saying this has happened. I've spoken to young people that I work with, particularly wouldn't say, I'm not even going to say it's geographical. The group that I spoke to was in South Manchester, and I know that a lot of stuff has been going on in North, and there was stuff that was happening in and around Gorton. I just spoke to a group of 4 girls walking home today. Gorgeous, beautiful black girls here, 10 girls. And I said, be careful, ladies, you know what's going on. And they were like, yeah, it's horrible. Like, it's happening a lot. I mean, and they started going in, saying that this has been happening since 2000 and since before the COVID, before the pandemic. So I was like, so how do you feel? I said, make sure that you watch out for each other's. And they were like, yeah, definitely. I said, have you all got phones? And do you know, listen. So they seem pretty either switched on because it's happening now, it's in the news, or it's something that they've been living with. And we as adults haven't seen it. Does that make sense? It's just, yeah, but I definitely think there's a difference between kidnap and going missing, and missing from home, or children missing from home, which I'm sure Anthony will be able to touch upon, is something completely different to kidnap, because there's different processes and protocols as how it's dealt with, how it's deemed, in terms of severity by people like the police, the local authorities, social services, etc.
So, I mean, for me, the question would be,
Manchester City Council foster.
Sorry.
If this is an issue that's been going on since before George Floyd, you know, and from your accounts, Angeli, it happens quite regularly, almost like a pandemic. And so the question to me is, how come we're not speaking about this in our homes? Like, you know, my daughter's just been trying to get kidnapped. Why is she not coming home and telling me? Why is the school not hearing this? So those are the kind of questions. And if those conversations are being had, you know, in homes and in the schoolyards and in classrooms, then we've all got a responsibility, whether you're parents or teachers.
Definitely.
I think, sorry,
Angeli. Welcome back. You're answering to the Search Engine. The Search Engine Meets T.A.P Talks. We're here with T.A.P team Angeli, Otis, and our guest Colette Williams this evening. We were talking initially around young black children going missing at an alarming rate, linked with abduction, trying not to confuse the two. And I'm also looking at a year on from now, after the murder of George Floyd, as to whether anything has really changed, moved on, discussions, treatment, policy, practice, culture, and accountability. But just in the break, given that Angeli wasn't with us in the first part, I asked her opinion with regard to the children going missing in abduction, and Colette was just speaking with us around, you know, what else is happening, what conversations are taking place in the homes with regard to children, parents, adults keeping themselves safe. Is that correct, Colette?
Yeah.
Can I just respond to Colette's point?
There? Sorry.
No, I just asked if I'd said what you had said correctly, because we was coming back from a break.
Yeah.
I think that Colette's really clear, valid, and deserves real attention and discussion around it, between child abduction, missing children. Now, I do know that, what are we in now? May. I do know since the middle of the pandemic, there's been research papers, there's been conversations, there's academics who have been, you know, there've been youth workers, people like Craig Pinknick, people like Forefront Project, you know, have all seen a marked rise in CCE, which is child criminal exploitation, which sometimes can be a problematic term, but essentially it's just young people who are being abused. That's just the long and short of it. And then county lines, that's massive in the news as well. So we know people, and I remember when the pandemic hit, there was like a lot of memes going around, and people were saying, oh, you know, bare people are losing their jobs. What are the drug dealers going to do? And I remember having a convo. It could have been my brother Otis and a few other people saying they're going to get inventive, and this drugs thing is going to go through the roof. And that's exactly what's happened. So county lines where young people are being picked up, are being groomed intentionally, and being said, boom, if I give you this pair of trainers, drop that off for me. And before you know it, they're picking up the child and they're taking him or her to Cornwall, Devon. This is out of town to go and literally live in a trap house and shot how much drugs, and then they have to do it because they're in type of debt. I literally had to hold a young person with me for a matter of time because he was in danger of that. And I'm sure a lot of people will understand and have seen something similar. So I guess what I'm saying, when we talk about missing children, could they be missing because of things like CCE, where they're just on, you know, because they've been put on a train and they've been sent somewhere to pay off a drug debt under count? Could they be missing because they've got a history of being missing from home, which we know that the police don't always respond to the best way? Could they be missing because after nearly a year and a half of being locked up essentially at home with the pandemic, all the anxiety, it's opening back up again, they might be getting a bit, do you see what I mean? So there's many reasons as to why they could be missing, but the child abduction now, completely different. And a lot of that I've seen happening in London. So again, if you go into social media, you'll see a lot of stuff going on. And it's not anecdotal, not somebody having a rant down the camera. There's actual video footage that it's crazy.
Yeah, I think what's happened is, so all kidnapped children are missing children, but not all missing children are kidnapped. And we've open dialogue on missing children, but we're focused on the kidnapping element of missing children. So we're all right. Colette's right, Angel's right, I'm right, Anthony's right. But yeah, we've not discussed the other elements as to why kids are going missing. As Angel has covered, there's many various issues. But I do feel like the kidnapping one is a massive concern, because it seems like it's a lot more prevalent than, or it's being highlighted a lot more recently than it has been.
And this is like,
and you know what? So in terms of the fact that it's been highlighted, you know, I think it would be great if we could get some links in terms of, you know, where to get that information from. And like Angeli said, it's not just anecdotal. You know, it's evidence based. So it'd be great if you got the links for listeners and me. Thanks.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say, because what's so interesting and struck me about that conversation as well is goes a bit back to what Colette was saying about what conversations are taking place within the family, but also what Angeli said, what Gus said in the sense of the policy practice and the culture, and particularly the youth culture, and how they have their communications apart from how they would communicate with, whether that's parents, adults, or the police, in the sense of sharing what should be them looking after themselves and being safe, but they're going out into a whole other youth world out there with consequences that they believe some adults are not aware of, or, you know, this is the life that it is. I was speaking to a young person, and they were out. It wasn't a kidnapping, but they got beaten up and had gone back home. The police had been informed, but this young person was very quite nonchalant about what had happened to them. He's like, you know, I've got to go. The parents wanted them to stay in for a couple of days. He's like, no, I'm going to school, going out there. It's just, that's the way it is for some, and it shouldn't have to be that way.
I'd agree. I think that the world, the climate, the environment that our young people are living in today is so far removed from what we're used to growing up in the 60s and 80s and even 90s. I think young people today are exposed to so much that we couldn't even. There's a guy who wrote a book called Digital Native. He's called Mark Prensky, and he basically speaks about young people. I'm sure I've spoken about it before on the show, but he speaks about young people who were born after 2000 have literally been born into a system of technology, artificial intelligence, and everything, social media, etc., etc. So those people who were born like our age before that are classed as digital immigrants. So we have come from an era where it was all analog, etc., etc., and we've had to learn this new system of digital communication, whereas children who were born after 2000 in particular have just been born straight into it and get it, and it's literally changed the structure of the brains, the way that they communicate with each other, the way that they interpret risk and consequence. And we already understand that young people cognitively around between the ages of about 13 to 16, boys and girls, they're like, I'm untouchable, the world is mine, you can't tell me nothing, I've got this. And part of the reason is because this part hasn't developed, and that's completely natural. But on top of that, they're being exposed to things that are so far removed from what we are used to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's they're desensitized to it, if that makes sense. So something that would completely shock us, like, you've got a 14-year-old saying, and it's a minor, it's calm, it's chill, and you're like, you what? But to them, it is their life. They're born into this. Yeah.
And there's a massive area for prevention there, in the sense of earlier you start having those risks and safety discussions, and they because what again they're open to on social media and stuff. There's not a lot of need to tip-tap around these children. Yeah, you need to be straight. They know. They're like, you're telling them something and you're tiptoeing, and they're like, they've gone somewhere else, because it's like, you're not, I know. So there's a whole.
Completely agree. I completely, like, these young people are schooling us. That's just the long and short of it. That's the long and short of it.
Do you know, sorry, because I just might be old school me, but obviously I am, right? But I mean, and I'm not saying this is what you're saying solely, but for me, the responsibility is on the parents, right? When we're talking about how much exposure a child gets to social media, yeah? A 4-year-old doesn't go out and buy a £300 phone, but an adult will go out and buy a £300 phone to give to a 4-year-old. That's why it's tapped into the digital age. Do you know what I mean? So the responsibility is on us as humans. We have choices, and that our children, that under our roofs, these are my rules, that, in terms of social media and so forth. And I'm not saying that social media and outside influences can't come in and, upset the work that you're doing there as a parent, but we have, as adults, a responsibility. And whether you're a parent, a godparent, an auntie. I mean, kudos to you, Angeli. At the beginning you talked about how you had to take in a young person that was under threat, and not a lot of people would do that. Not a lot of people would do that. Bring another person's child into our homes and love them and protect them. But those are the kind of things that we want to, that we should be doing, and we should be doing that on a forum so big that everybody knows about it, everybody understands about it. Your young children are in problems in school, education. How long have we been talking about these things? You talked about listening to the YouTube with Professor Gus John. And Professor Gus John's been talking about education for the longest of times. The book that's I can't remember his name now, wrote, was it 50 years ago, about how the education system treats young black boys. Agenda 2010.
Bernard Core, 1977. Yeah. So what I was going to say,
and for me, if we were talking about changes in terms of Black Lives Matters, then these are the kind of conversations, bigger conversations that we should be having. We can talk about bringing back community guardians, but Angeli was there the first time we had the meeting, the first time we had the second lots of meeting. Me and Angeli were out, but it's easy to talk about. This is what we need to do. Yeah, we need resources, and we need people to stick to the words that they're talking about. And it's not just about talking; it's about action. And you have to put those things in, but you have to be consistent. As a parent, when you're bringing a child up, you have to be consistent. These are the things that I expect of you, and these are the things that that you can expect from me. It's an exchange. And these are the exchanges that we're supposed to be having in our community. We talk about Ubuntu, we talk about Nguza Saba, we roll off the principles, at the beginning of the year, every year and stuff and that. So But that's also what Black Lives Matters was about. It wasn't about just deaths at the hands of the police. It was about how we live as a community, how we live in a house, how we parent our children, how we talk about things, how we communicate, how we leave legacies, how we build things, how we interact with government, local government, national government, you know, our finances, all that kind of stuff. That's what Black Lives Matters was. It talked about the environment. Do you remember when they did the 1 day of action in Heathrow? Everybody slagged them off. You know, what's the environment got to do with Black Lives Matters? Well, what's it got to do with Black Lives Matters?
And now look, Wagwan. But what I just wanted to say is just your point. No, seriously, you really spoke to a point that resonated hard with me. Is you were talking about taking in young people to help, and it's not something that is not an alien concept to me. First of all, it's something that I've seen elder people in my family do, and secondly, it's something that we used to do as a community up until maybe the 90s, 2000. And part of the reason why that's kind of stopped is, one, because we live in a capitalist society where it's all about the individual, and we have this individualistic nature. To be honest, the system has made people narcissists in a sense. And that's just really, really real. Even me.
That's my legacy, that is.
Yeah. And then secondly, I think coming out of the 80s into the 90s, this whole notion that people should own and should thrive and things should belong to them, and they don't need to do anything for anybody else. So what I'm saying is, case in point, because I'm rambling, case in point, what I'm trying to say is, we know that, I don't know, you've heard a story in your family where there was a child actor who needed some type of support and they went to live with auntie, uncle, gran, whatever. Same thing happened with me. You know what I'm saying? But now it doesn't happen because city council are like, if your child stays with somebody longer than 28 days, then it's past us fostering and you must die. But before that, it was just like, no, bring the child, come make me look pat. Do you see what I'm saying? And it's eroded that family value of being able to reach out and pick up a picnic, a child, and say, let me love you whilst whatever's going on. Let me support a parent whilst go. Do you see? We don't have that anymore. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
And is this also again about the references in the change of culture, not necessarily for the best?
Is that because maybe that generation who were coming from the Caribbean, that was like a normal thing where the grandparent maybe would raise the grandchild, so it continued here, but because we've been brought up a bit different, it's not kind of continued?
Yeah, second and third generation have lost those type of understandings and rituals when it comes to honouring family, when it comes to holding up the family. You know, because I could do something tomorrow and be like, I don't care, it's me, it's my life, it's my house, But no, because it reflects on the family, it reflects on my mum and my dad, it reflects on the people you see. And that's the part I talk about in terms of narcissistic nature. I know it sounds quite harsh. Long and short of it, I think.
Yeah, because I feel like when our grandparents' era dies off, will families still be meeting every Sunday for dinner and having that family bonding? And
we stopped that when my grandpa in 2018.
Wow,
that's a
massive gone.
That's a massive point in that, because I know that same thing kind of happened for us, because my mum, we used to, as a family, and other people used to come round because my mum was a Jehovah's Witness, so she didn't do the Christmas thing, but we all were around there. Boxing Day, that was the place, my mum's yard, and it tried to continue after she passed like 10 years ago, but never, you know, that corner.
I tried to continue it, and yeah, it's so hard. It's awful.
Yeah,
like, that is a tradition that is gone or is dying off literally. You know, what do we do about that? Because that is part of our cultural upbringing, heritage, understanding, and psyche. You know, so once that goes, what happens then?
Yeah, what replaces that?
Yeah.
How can we reverse that? It's a cultural thing. That's something on that scale that seems like how can that be reversed within our culture?
You know what I'd love to see, and I'm sure we've spoken about this, is Sunday dinner at somewhere in the community where people can just go and have Sunday dinner.
Yeah.
That's it. They don't even have to be family. The whole point is that we're creating family and we're eating together. We're getting around the table. You know, it could be 5, it could be 10 people, you know. Why not?
Bat and ball Sundays, you know, organize it. I'll just be in the park on Sunday with my cricket bat. You bring your ball, you bring your rounders bat.
I like it. Bat and balls.
It goes.
I like it. No, for real, man. Just Sunday dinner. Because I know that Sister Colette, when she's ready, will invite people round to her home, and it's the best thing ever because she absolutely lays the thing down, and it's beautiful. And that's what we need, more of that. You know what I mean? And I'd love to see that happen. I don't know how. Maybe we can approach some community organizations to say, look, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Because old Abbey Tap House are doing things like that in Hume. You know, there's other organizations who are doing that type of pulling together of community to eat together. And it's almost like a new community development concept for them. It's like, we've been doing this for years, but we ain't doing it no more. Why not? Let's get back on it, man.
Maybe that's something that could be started. Maybe one of these shows we could actually invite 2 or 3 other organizations on here, not to say organize an event, just to say, okay, what would it, you know, what are you doing next week Sunday? Do you want to come and have a chat in the park and bring some people, you know?
Yeah. And come around for Sunday dinner. That's it. Come around for Sunday dinner. You know? I don't know. It's something to think about. Oh, it's Colette. Well, we're going to talk about it.
I think, obviously, before last year, I think I can't remember what time it was, 2019 maybe. I remember Bernadette Wadley did something at Westwood Street.
That was beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, and
that's what I'm talking about. Something like that.
Meal, wasn't it?
That
was nice. That was nice. So,
yeah, and I suppose
Anthony mentioned going to Alec Park. I mean, back in the day we used to go swimming at Moss Side Leisure Centre, Moss Side on it, and then go over to Alec Park, and it used to be absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
I'm right.
I went in there today to inquire about swimming lessons for my son as well. Apprehensive, the chlorine in the pool, but yeah. The leisure centre, whatever it's called now.
And then there's also the thing that Megadread was doing for a while, the free events at Westwood Street, the family community.
Yeah, they were amazing.
Community, yeah.
We all have links with these people, and there's no reason why, now that we coming out of lockdown on roadmap, there's no reason why we can't have conversations to say, you know what, let's start this back up again. And you know, for me, and this is what I say to Otis, is as a business, the African part, you know, we are in a position where we can bid for certain funds for certain things, and we recognize that coming out of this, because of the whole disproportionality of COVID and how it's the BAME community, as they want to call it, there is a lot of funding out there, and there's no reason why we can't literally tap into that funding to help us to, the term is build back better. There's no reason why we can't do that. And just to say, you know what, we just put into a funding pot so we can kind of kickstart this and incubate this idea, and then really embed it so it continues. And this is how we literally build back better, but literally but get stronger with it. You know, that something positive has to come out of this. And if it's just these things that you talk about, I see no reason why not.
Okay. totally agree. And even though, the funding is there and you are paying taxes, so it's not like a handout,
We're not begging for no.
It is yours, but at the same time, also there's still that we can also do things that don't cost money. I know there's some guys. I think Ewan every Sunday does Tai Chi.
Yeah, I always see him in the park.
Who's this, Ewan?
Yeah. And people are welcome to go and join in. I know I've seen some other people in there that do circuit training.
This ADPAC.
Yeah, I've seen him in about.
Then you've got Nubian Sisters on Wheels, which is facilitated by Faith Manning. She's in the park every Sunday, and then on Saturdays with families, and then I think again on Wednesdays. And I've been to a couple of her sessions, and it's amazing. We need to get that back.
Yeah, so maybe that's something we can even add and just have a list of things that are going on, or
a bit of a calendar.
Yeah, but about definite cohesion.
Yeah,
that's the main part of it. Is about cohesion, about that coming together. We'll talk more on that, and we'll be right back.
Feel the vibe on Legacy. Are you in the process of planning a funeral? Do you have friends?
Okay, we're literally gonna have.
Sorry, listen. Sorry, I know there's 15 minutes left, but I've only got 3% of battery left. My charger's just broke. I can't even charge up my phone. So I'm gonna be going soon. I've only got 3%.
Oh, I'd love you. So
it's been wonderful.
Are we meant to be doing the B.O.B questions as well?
Yeah, the B.O.Bs we're gonna come next.
What's the B.O.B questions?
That's what I'm saying. You best find another charger or fix it quick.
What's B.O.B?
Right.
Find out. You have to stay on to find out.
You better start something. Coach it down quick. Look for something.
Yeah.
Sorry, forgive me. I'm filing my nails. I've been since 9 this morning.
You've been doing your nails since 9 this morning.
Taking in deliveries, cleaning up, sorting out, ting. My nails are shot to pieces.
Angel,
so forgive me.
I'm working hard.
Angel,
yes.
I think I've got a box for us that we can do that. We call it the Sunday dinner, first Sunday of every month or something. And
you've got a box.
A pot that we can go for to do that.
All right. Yeah.
We'll discuss off there.
Okay, welcome back here onto the search engine. This is T.A.P Talks meets search engine. Search engine meets T.A.P Talks. Angeli, Otis, and our guest Colette Williams. We've been talking about George Floyd 1 year on, whether there's been any changes, is there different discussions, what needs to still happen, which is much, and also been talking about the alarming rate of Black children that have been going missing in the community, whether that's missing or abducted, and about solutions, what you can do to make sure how to keep your children safe. There are some apps that are available. We did mention an app called the Holly app. Did you say there were any more other ones? No,
that's the only one I know of.
Okay, right. So we've literally got, like, say, 10 minutes to go. We're going to go over to Bob. Bob is a game, Colette, that we've been asking some questions on previous shows. It's part of a dating game. If you go on YouTube, you can see where they bring two people together. One will be on one side of the. You have to tell me if I'm explaining this right, guys. One is at one, bit like blind date. One's at the other side, can't see them. They ask a question. They both give the answers. Depending on the answers, decide whether they want to see each other, and then from seeing each other to decide on whether they want to go out for a date. Yeah,
pretty much it.
So we did have some questions. I did wrote down a few. I've been going off the old sheet, so you'd have to tell me if it's one that I've asked before. Right, here goes. All right, let me put this one.
So who's the contestant?
They're the contestants.
No, he was saying it's based on the premise of blind dating, where two contestants ask each other stuff, but we're doing it. Yeah.
Okay, here is a question. What are the positives of raising a melanated child?
What are the positives? Pure positives?
Well, what? If there's
Well,
pure, then what?
the key word that you just said, melanin, it's the richest commodity on earth. So there's one straight away. I feel, what else? Just that. What's the point I was going to make then? I feel, well, it depends. If they know the history and the true worth and value, then that in itself is a positive. Just knowing who you are, that just fills you with the knowledge that you're capable of anything you set your mind to, because we've done it. With our lineage has done it previously before.
Okay, but does that go specific to a melanated child?
Not necessarily. No, it's not just melanated children. Are we talking what's just the positives just to melanated children?
This question here is saying that, you know, what are the positives of raising a melanated child? What's the positives of raising a black child?
Go on, Colette. You're the new entrant.
No, but I'm asking you. I mean, you have a child. You have a melanated child. Yeah.
I'm not the only one. Colette's got a melanated child.
I know, but you just started the answer. So, but what's yours in the specific to your child being melanated is the positives about raising that child?
I feel so. The way how society is now, the odds are stacked against them, and I feel if they can overcome these odds, then it sets them up for more success. So I feel when people are given things, they don't acquire the skill set to overcome certain hurdles. Whereas if you're born with these obstacles against you from the start and you're able to overcome them from birth, then it's a more acquired skill that you've gained that sets you up better to prevail in life once you overcome these things as a child as well. I feel, if I've explained that correctly.
I think what I get that you're saying there really is you having the ability to navigate those challenges that you know they might come up against in life. Yeah. Colette?
What are the positives of raising a melanated child? I'm just going to say legacy. That's all I have to say. I don't understand the. So, what are the positives of raising a melanin child? Just legacy. Just knowing that all the things that I am, all the things that I have been, my ancestry is being passed down to this child.
What would you say, Anthony?
I'd say the positive for me is you know, knowing that they're going out there in this system and knowing, because of the work that I've done and the things that I've read, what they're coming up against. And then when you're talking to them in the sense of, you know, because I don't answer questions for my children, I ask them what they think and take them on a journey of learning, and then to see them come to that point of realization on certain things that, you know, they think they knew about or was quite surface level, and then getting them to see it on more in depth and getting greater understanding. It's great to see that out of box thinking and confidence gained from that information. It's sad in a way because some of the information that they share with them, it has to be just between you and them, because if they went into some institutes of learning, they're not going to have that conversation. They can't have that conversation purely sometimes on the fact that some of the people in those institutions are not aware of that information themselves. So in being able to give them that information, it's kind of like they're kind of like a bit forearmed. So that's what I like, because there's so much that for me, because I didn't learn so much about myself until I was in my late 20s, something like that. But I know what that information and that knowledge did for me.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to then share that to your children at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, straight away their mind. And the
so you've just answered what I answered, and then flipped it on me and said, "Is that just towards Black children?" But then what you've said, is it just towards Black children as well?
I am talking about specifically to my relationship with my children. So I'm saying that in regard to Black children, because again, that stimulation that white children are getting on a standard, whether that's from TV, billboards, books in school and stuff like that, we know that that's not happening for Black children.
I can relate to that because as well, like last year when I done the DNA test, and I realized I come from the same lineage as Ramesses the third, and like that, I was just on a high after finding that out. I was just like, right, I come from royalty, no one can't tell me nothing. So I don't know when like I pass it on to my son, it's just gonna boost him up as well even more. So I feel knowing your history deep within your own lineage can therefore like pick you up.
Okay, go on, Colette.
Just really quickly, so because I obviously didn't understand the question. I just want to question the question in terms of what are the positives of raising a melanin child, and I don't understand how you telling your child that you have to work twice as hard, you have to be 10 times as good, that kind of thing is a positive thing. I know you're trying to build a character, but it's not a positive thing, so it's a bit of an oxymoron. But sorry, I'm just
wait. Is that to me? I didn't say that.
You said about working 10 times as hard.
I was just talking to Andy.
But you talked about barriers. You talked about teaching your children lessons that they're not going to be taught. You talked about sharing your experience that you've seen and understand of the world as an adult to a 6, 7, 8-year-old. And within that conversation, I'll put money on it, that a conversation will be had that you have to work twice as hard as your white counterparts, and you have to be 100% whatever it is better than everybody else in order to achieve the things that you want your child to achieve in terms of them being successful. I'm just saying that the fact that you use positives, what are the positives of raising a melanin child? So all the lessons that I had to teach my son, or incidents or issues that my son wanted to talk about as a young Black man, as a young dark Black man growing up in Manchester, those weren't necessarily nice experiences. So I'm just saying, I was just flipped about the question. That's all.
No, that's
really
fine. I don't agree with the fact that 10 times as hard or twice as hard has to come into the conversation. Yeah, because I would see it as you're teaching about self. Yeah, you're teaching about them, about their heritage. You said legacy before, so you're teaching about their legacy. I'm seeing that as something that you want to know because it's about you, and it's positive. Angeli?
Okay.
Why? I couldn't say I raised. I definitely helped to raise, and I think the positives, as I've been listening to you three talk, would be knowing that you are knowing that you are contributing to a more I don't like to use the word inclusive, but I can't think of another word. But knowing that you are contributing to a future where the world will be more, what's the word? I don't even know. More representative, more proportional. Does that make sense? So raising a melanin child, but using the going back to the points that you three have said about instilling in them a certain confidence, a certain legacy and understanding of their heritage and ethnicity, etc. That can only bear positive fruit. So as they get older and they go into the world, they then become change makers. And if we look back at history and the madness that we've gone through, then the positives of raising a melanin child well is that they will reverse all of the ills and turn the situation around. That's what came to my mind.
Okay, thanks for that. Listen, we're virtually out of time, but let me just quickly throw one question in, which is a bit of a curveball. What's positive about, okay, what are you most proud about being a melanated person?
My skin, let's leave it there.
These are some weird questions, aren't they?
These are not my questions. I told you. Wait till you get the game. You'll see.
I thought you made these up.
No, these are from the game. But, but when you get the game, you'll see.
Colette, go on. As she's sporting a
Sorry, what was the question? What's the most amazing thing about me?
I suppose that's the question, isn't it?
Me.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Okay. Any last ones on that then? No. Right. When you're gonna get the cards, yeah, and then we're gonna pick out one from that, so you can see that I ain't rigging these questions and stuff.
How did you get the questions, Anthony?
I watched the clips on.
Oh, you just
wrote them down.
And then wrote them down.
Check you out. You're not messing about. I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how I did it. That's what I got.
Should we invite him to the next show, Anthony?
Pardon?
Should we invite the person to the next show, the person who created them?
That'd be a good idea. Yeah, let's do that.
Yay.
Yeah. That would be good. And we'll spend a bit more time, and maybe they can ask some of the questions.
Yeah.
All right then, guys. So that's it for us for this week. So thank you very much. I think Colette's thing just blocked out.
Yeah, battery's gone. She stayed just long enough. Yeah.
Okay then, guys. So you take care, and until next time, next month. Can't remember the date, but see you then. Okay.
See you later.
You take care. See you later. Bye. Yes, and that's it for another week for the search engine Legacy 90.1. I've got to say a big up to Butterfly Sue, who had an accident today, but she is okay now. Had to go to hospital, but she's doing well. Butterfly Sue, a very loyal listener to Legacy Radio. And also, before I go, can I remind you of, we spoke to Marcia Hutchinson last week. No, it wasn't. It was the week before. Marcia Hutchinson is the new councillor for Ancoats, and she came on and she spoke to us about the pipeline project. She talked about the lack of black councillors within Manchester, and she's doing some training in that area to help people who may be interested in getting involved in becoming a local councillor. And it's an event. It is, you can get involved. There's 10 spaces. It's on the 12th of June. It is being run by Councillor Marcia Hutchinson, and you can, if you want to get involved in that, if you're interested in being a councillor, there is much more representation that's needed. You can go to Manchester Pipeline Project at gmail.com. That's Manchester Pipeline Project at gmail.com, and you can let them know that you will be wanting to have a place on the pipeline course, which is the 12th of June. Yeah. Okay, that's it from us. Thank you very much, and until next week, God willing, you take care. See you. Bye bye. May love, positivity, and life's preservation be the base.